Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to head over to Japan once again, and we're going to return to a brewery that has now featured on the channel many times before. Now, I've had some really nice beers from these guys over the last couple of years. They are still a relatively new addition to the Japanese beer scene, but they've built up a very, very good reputation for themselves. If people were to ask me about this brewery, I would say that they're most definitely best known for their different kinds of New England hazy, whatever you want to call them, IPAs, but they have been diversifying a bit in recent times and brewing lots and lots of different styles. So if you're interested in Japanese craft beer, this is one of the breweries that I highly recommend that you check out. They're becoming really quite widespread actually. They're really pushing Japanese beer out there a little bit, which is great to see. But the beer that we're going to have a look at today is one of their latest releases as of the time of filming, which is August 2025. It's a style that I've had from this brewery several times before, one that I know they can do very well, and it's also something of a special occasion beer, this one from them as well. So needless to say, I'm very, very curious to see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we are going to head over to Japan like I said. We are going to go to Shizuoka Prefecture, which is a bit to the southwest of Tokyo, the Mount Fuji region, and to be specific, we are going to go to the city of Mochimune, and that happens to be home to the wonderful West Coast Brewing. So this particular beer is called Lupulin Rainbow. It comes in at 10% ABV, and this one is a New England Hazy Imperial Triple, whatever you want to call it, IPA. And this is also one of West Coast Brewing's 6th anniversary beers, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this one I've heard very, very good things about. I picked this up at City Super here in Hong Kong, and they always seem to get the different West Coast Brewing beers, which I'm very happy to see. I always pop in there and see if there's anything interesting from these guys, basically, whenever I get the opportunity. But yeah, happy 6th anniversary, of course, to West Coast Brewing. It's crazy to think they've been going that long now, but yeah, these guys are producing some awesome stuff, so check them out if you get the chance. Let's crack on with this one then and see how we go. A 10% New England Triple IPA from the wonderful West Coast Brewing in Mochimune, Shizuoka over in Japan. So, as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links can be found in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from West Coast Brewing before, and we will definitely add more to that list at some point in the fairly near future because I love their beers. But there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is massively appreciated, and remember you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. So just go in there, use the little search bar, put in your hometown, state, county, province, whatever you like. If I've reviewed beers from the area that you search for, they will pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. You'll find this one in the Japanese playlist along with a number of other things. You can also go and check out my friend Nevitt Reagan over at Japanese Craft Beer Reviews if you're particularly interested in Japanese beer. I'll put the link to his channel in the video description for you below, but do make sure you check out the playlist of beers from other countries as well in my channel, because there are some really interesting things on here these days, even if I do say so myself. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a wee bit once again about West Coast Brewing then. So, West Coast Brewing, as I've mentioned to you already, are based in the city of Mochimune in Shizuoka Prefecture in Japan, right next to the wonderful Mount Fuji. So the brewery was founded back in 2019 by Derek Baston, who's originally from Seattle in Washington State in the Pacific Northwest in the US, and he had previously worked as an architect. So Derek originally came to Shizuoka back in 2003, and he would often visit different breweries during his trips home to the US, and he says that he's always been inspired by the craftsmanship that went into the West Coast US beers, and he basically wanted to bring some of that to Japan because he felt there weren't really many breweries doing this at the time. But apparently the idea to found his own brewery can be traced back to 2014 when he designed the Shizuoka distillery for Gaia Flow, who have facilities all over Japan from what I understand. But this was basically his first look inside the brewing and distilling world, and it inspired him to go and visit other breweries and distilleries and to talk to those inside the industry. And apparently doing this made the whole process of starting his own brewery seem a lot less daunting. So he founded a bar in Shizuoka called 12 to test the water and see if the beers that he wanted to produce would be a hit, and it very quickly became clear that the local population were very interested in these things. So they found a premises in an abandoned tuna processing factory in the Mochimune marina, and they renovated it and converted it into a brewery, and that's where they're still operating today. So the brewery is equipped with a 10 BBL system, which is about 1600 litres per brew. They started off with 10 fermentation vessels and 2 bright beer tanks, and the latest figure that I found for the production is between 12 and 20,000 litres of beer per month, but that may well have increased since I made these notes. But the 3 brewers at the brewery are Satoshi Niwa, who is from Japan, he's the brewing manager. Then they've got Cedric Mel from France and also Grant Scholler from the US. But the brewery's mascot is, of course, this guy here, the Hop Dude. You'll see him on pretty much all the beers that are released from West Coast Brewing Company, even the wild ones and sour beers, which you'll see featured on the channel in the fairly near future. But yeah, basically this artwork is designed by Simon Henshaw, who, if I remember correctly, comes from Manchester in England. But yeah, these artworks on the West Coast Brewing beers are always pretty damn awesome. But yeah, over the first few years, these guys have leaned mainly towards brewing different kinds of IPAs, but they've also established their own barrel program now, so there's some nice sour beers and wild ales and barrel-aged imperial stouts and things like that coming out from this brewery. And over the years, they've also been opening a number of different bars and tap rooms. This includes Bao, which is a gyoza restaurant, 12, the original izakaya, number 3, which is a bottle shop. These can all be found in Shizuoka City. There's the Oasis Bar in Hamamatsu, and then in Osaka they've got Umeda One, which is a bar, and also Dark Lab, which I've been to visit. It's a nice bar and does very, very good burgers. But yeah, as of August 2025, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced 480 different kinds of beer according to Untappd, and that number will no doubt continue to increase as time goes on. But yeah, that is everything I can really tell you about West Coast Brewing for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, that is a very brief history of West Coast Brewing for you, and I am hoping that I can make it to Mochimune at some point during one of my next trips to Japan and go and actually film at the brewery. That's something that I want to do with my good friend Jordan over at Jordan Outsider Inside Japan, if I remember his channel correctly. I always mess up the name of his channel, but that is something that we're hoping to do together at some point. But yeah, that is everything that, as I say, we can tell you about the brewery. Go and check out the Facebook page and stuff like that, and the Untappd pages and things as well to learn a wee bit more. But yeah, let's go on and have a little look at this beer itself. So like I mentioned to you earlier, this is one of their 6th anniversary beers, so happy 6th anniversary to West Coast Brewing. The artwork on this one, I have to say, I really like the kind of hop, is it hop cones in the rainbow? Or what is it? I think it might just be leaves, I'm not sure. I thought it was actually hop cones in the rainbow there. But yeah, you can see the Hop Dude just kind of chilling on the rainbow slide there. Looks very, very happy. This is a half-litre can, incidentally, 500 millilitres, plain silver top on it. And yeah, as I said, 10% New England Hazy, Imperial Triple, whatever you want to call it, IPA. The hops in this one are Citra, Eldorado, Mosaic and Nelson Sauvin, and there's various different types of like Cryo and stuff in there as well. So we know all of these hops quite well. Citra, Eldorado, Mosaic are all American. Citra is the one of the original high alpha acid American hops, gives you lots of juicy mango and a good little bit of a lemon limey character in a New England IPA. Eldorado I think is about 12% alpha acid, and I remember it being quite pineapple-y and apricot-y if I'm not mistaken. Mosaic, 14% alpha acid, gives you a wee touch of earthiness but lots of lovely tangerine notes. Nelson Sauvin is of course our sole Kiwi hop in this one, New Zealand, and it gives you that lovely big kind of white green grapey gooseberry note, 16% alpha acid of course. But yeah, let's get this guy out and have a little look at it. I will also just tell you, while I remember, we have the little blurb on this one from the Untappd page as well. So it says here, I have a feeling we are going to easily jump that butterfly. 4 times as high, take a drop, it's in the hops, a freaking Lupulin rainbow. 6th anniversaries means we go bonkers, and the Lupulin rainbow doesn't disappoint, packed with QDH levels of over 100 kilograms of hops and dialed up to 10% on the ABVO meter. This tonic will have you thrill-seeking pots of gold in literally no time. Hazy lovers about to get zoomed to the stars. We are getting passion fruit, papaya, orange, citrus, pear with dankness that only an alchemist would love. Epic hops like Ike. Not sure exactly what that is, but yeah, that's the little blurb bit that is on the Untappd page. But yeah, that's everything we need to know about this. Let's get it out into the glass and see what it's all about. I'm really excited for this one. So with this beer, I am also toasting the fact that I passed my first Japanese language exam. So yeah, just took the basic one this time to get used to the format and things, but I will be working up these over the next couple of years. So this beer review is also kind of going to be dedicated to that. Nice to have a Japanese beer to celebrate with. But yeah, and also West Coast Brewing's 6th anniversary, of course. But there we go. So let's have a wee look at this one then. So I've poured maybe about 2/3 of the beer out and into the glass at this point, and you can see this one looks great. So from what we've got on the pour, we've got just over a half finger of a frothy, I would say kind of creamy coloured head. That's going to fade away to just be a nice sort of foamy layer there, and you can see that thicker ring just around the edge of the glass there. If I bring that up to the camera there, you can see medium-sized bubbles sitting on the surface of the liquid, and it just gets a little bit foamier the further up that you go. But yeah, lovely, very rich yellow colour this one. Actually got a little touch of amber to it actually, but yeah, looks very nice. This one reminds me of a mixed tropical fruit juice. But yeah, remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. 1, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. 2, length of your wort boil is going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker coloured beer. But any barrel aging that you do or adjuncts you put into the beer will affect its colour as well, but you don't often have to care about that when it comes to the different IPA categories. But yeah, this one, as I say, has got one of the deeper colours I've seen from a New England IPA in recent times, so maybe there's a little bit of like caramel or something like that in here to give it that deeper colour. But yeah, in terms of the level of haze in this one, it's not the soupiest and gloopiest of 10% New Englands that I've come across, but it does have a good level of opacity to it, a good level of haze. So remember, the level of haze in these beers depends on oak content, wheat content, and to a degree what yeast you use. That can vary from beer to beer and brewery to brewery and so on. But yeah, this one, as I say, it looks very nice. 1 or 2 bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass there, but not too much in the way of visible carbonation. It looks great, just one of the slightly more ambery leaning New England IPAs that I've come across in recent times. But nothing particularly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance when we consider what style it is. So I think we can go on and have a little look at the aroma in this one then. Let's do that. So very curious about this one. Oh yeah, I'm going to say straight away, this thing is going to be a monster. Yeah, it's very, very inviting, I have to admit. Very, very inviting beer. Gives you everything you'd want from the style. You've got that nice big sort of bready backbone to it. Yeah, the green component jumps out at you straight away. You can smell those lovely big oily characters. And then yeah, you've got a lovely kind of oily fruity note to this one as well. So yeah, it's absolutely great. I love the aroma of this one. We can say that straight away. But yeah, let's just break that down and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. So as I've often said in my New England IPA reviews, for me there are 6 elements to think about when it comes to the malty yeasty side of these beers. You've got the rye leaning grainy side of things and the farmhousey yeasty character. Those 2 elements are a bit more common in New England brewed New England IPAs, but as the style has moved elsewhere and evolved, it's more about wheaty bitiness, oaty creaminess, barley malt bread, and also the sweeter side of things. This one actually comes across as being a little bit wheaty leaning, but other than that, it's very well balanced with those 4 main elements. But yeah, I just get a little bit more wheaty bitiness out of this one initially, but we'll see how that holds up as we explore the beer a little bit more. But yeah, the backbone of this beer, lovely fresh white bready bread crust in there, teeny little hints of wood, Jacob's cream cracker, as you very often get with this style. On top of that, there's a little bit of a wholemeal brown bready sort of note. Yeah, so wholemeal brown bready characters coming out of this one. But not too much. It's more leaning toward the white bread, this one, which is kind of what you'd expect. But yeah, you can smell that fluffy, fresh, and actually quite dense barley malt white bread out of this one. I'd be very curious to know what malts they're using in this beer, be it a combination of like German, American, Australian, or what. But yeah, lovely fresh white bready character in this one. You can smell a little bit of the wheat in this one, and I will say that the wheat kind of smoothens out a little bit the more that you smell this beer, but there is a wee bit of bitiness toward the back of the nose there. But yeah, lovely kind of more dense wheaty white bread in there for sure. And the oaty notes in this one are lovely and smooth. So oats in a New England IPA are always quite interesting because they can give you a rough indicator of how fresh your beer is. Essentially, the creamier they are, the fresher the beer is, the drier they are, the older it is. This one is pretty damn fresh. Does it have the canned on date, this one? So it says it's packaged on the 1st of July. So we're drinking this one actually. Yeah, we're drinking this one at about 7 weeks old actually. So yeah, I guess I was a bit lucky to get a hold of this. I thought it would have sold out quicker than that. But yeah, these beers get over here maybe when they're about a month old, I think, from Japan, and they're in good condition for the first 3 months or so, I would say. But they'll hold up longer than that. But if you want them prime, within the first 2 months or so. So we're drinking this one at a good time. But yeah, the oaty notes in this one, you've still got a good little bit of creaminess in there. There's a little bit of the dryness coming out. But yeah, there's also a really lovely, there's also like a really lovely kind of Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotchy kind of note out of this one. So yeah, Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotch in this one. Jacob's cream cracker, sorry, not Jacob's cream cracker, McVitie's digestive biscuit. The cracker comes out more, the more that you smell of this one though. But yeah, the Werther's Original one with this is becoming more and more obvious. The more that you smell of it, you get that nice kind of oily sweetness coming out of it, and a wee bit of McVitie's digestive biscuit. So it's good stuff. Yeah, I think that's everything we need to say about the malty side of things. The yeasty part of the beer at the back of the nose, it's quite, there's a little touch of brown bread to it, but mostly it's like a very fresh, fluffy, airy white bread, and maybe just a little bit of like kind of floury bread crust, as in flour, F-L-O-U-R. Yeah. And maybe, yeah, just a little bit of dryness, cracker or something like that. So yeah, the yeasty character is there, and you do get a little hint of the Skittles kind of note out of this one, I will say that. So maybe that's something they're trying to reflect in the artwork here. That comes from some of the yeasty strains actually, that sort of Skittlesy flavour that you get in some of these beers. But yeah, aroma-wise, the malty and yeasty side of this one is absolutely lovely. So yeah, I think we can move on to the hoppy side of things then. So when it comes to brewing an IPA, you do of course have 3 types of hoppings you can do. Early addition hopping within the first hour of the wort boil gives you the majority of your bitterness and a deep dank green component. Late addition hopping, which takes place within the latter half hour of your wort boil, assuming about a 90-ish minute wort boil. Little bit of bitterness, mainly flavour and aroma, and very bright green component. Dry hopping, which takes place after the wort boil is complete, gives you a very bright green component again, and that's all about flavour and aroma. West Coast IPAs use all 3, which is why they're deeper, danker and more oily. New England IPAs, hazy IPAs, use mainly late addition and dry hopping, which is why they're softer and more juicy. So yeah, that's quite obviously the case in here. The other factor is that there's a lot of cryo oil and stuff in this beer, so the green component is actually quite smooth, even though it's very, very pungent, and you'll notice that when you actually taste the thing. But yeah, green component in this one, you've got a tiny little bit of earthiness from the mosaic. That's being overwhelmed by the that's kind of being overwhelmed by the big floral aromaticity that the beer has. So yeah, lovely big floral aromatic notes coming out of this one, but very oily at the same time. And then round the front of the nose, you're getting that more kind of oily, kind of zesty, grassy character to the beer. So it's absolutely lovely, I have to say. The green component in this one, spot on. But yeah, let's have a wee look at the let's have a little look at the fruity side of things in this beer then. So yeah, there's a good hit of tropical note in this one. It's actually very nicely balanced in terms of its fruity character. But if you know these hops, you kind of know what to expect from them. So yeah, you've got a very ripe mango-y character from the Citra in this one. El Dorado is going to contribute to that a little bit, but I think mostly the mango will come from the Citra. You've got softer kind of pineapple-y notes and apricot-y notes in there, which I would attribute a little bit more to the El Dorado than the Citra. But the pineapple definitely, the apricot maybe coming from both. So yeah, lovely bright tropical notes in this one. It's got a little bit of sharpness to it as well, like maybe peach or guava or something like that. So yeah, there's a wee bit of that coming out of this one for sure. But then yeah, you can smell that gooseberry note, that white green grapey character of the Nelson Sauvin for sure. But I'm finding the more that I smell of this one, the more the oily orange, the tangerine character comes out of it, and that's the one that kind of lingers there for me. So yeah, the aroma of this beer is absolutely lovely. It gets a massive thumbs up from me. Yeah, I think we can leave it at that for the aroma. This one is a big oily beast of a New England IPA. So yeah, I think it's probably about time that we have a taste of this one and see how we go. I'm not sure. Nah, it's not going to take all of it, but yeah, we'll put the other wee bit in a wee second. So yeah, let's have a look at this one then and see what it's all about. It smells great. Take a bit of time to enjoy that. This is the Lupulin Rainbow, a 10% New England Hazy, Imperial Triple, whatever you want to call it, IPA from the wonderful West Coast Brewing in Mochimune, Shizuoka City, Shizuoka Prefecture, over in Japan. Slanja, skål, cheers, kampai, happy 6th anniversary to West Coast Brewing, and I'll take this one for passing my JLPT. Slanja. Ooh. Right. That is really damn good. It does just hit the spot. I don't say this lightly, but I might go as far as saying that this is one of the best hazies that I've had from West Coast Brewing. Just on the first sip, this one really is good. These guys are getting into world-class territory now. They have, well, in fairness, they have been a class act for quite a while actually, but these guys are doing some really damn good stuff. And as I say, this one just hits the spot. It's a lovely, dangerously drinkable, juicy New England triple, this one. Yeah, that's a great beer. So yeah, you will enjoy this if you get the chance to try it. So yeah, let's just break this beer down then and describe it more in depth for you, as we always do. Oh yeah. So, so good. This beer, the other thing I'll say is I thought this was going to be a little bit more wheaty leaning, but it's actually quite oaty, I would say, in comparison to what I thought it was going to be. So yeah, let's have a wee look at the beer itself. For me, if we go to the middle third of your palate in this one, so yeah, middle third of your palate, you've got that lovely kind of smooth, yeah, you've got that lovely sort of smooth white bread crusty backbone there. As you move further forward on that middle third of your palate, you get a little touch of like woody character coming out of the beer, which does linger into the aftertaste. There's a very light smattering of cracker, and I would say above that you've got a very light layer of like a wholemeal brown bready character, which is kind of leaning toward the sweeter side of things. There's part of me wants to say I'm thinking there's maybe more American malt in this one, but then again, the sweetness that this beer has might be due, one, to its higher alcohol content, and I suspect a slightly sweeter malt variety in here, maybe a little bit of crystal or caramel or turo or something like this. Yeah, there's definitely a sweeter malt variety in this one as well, because it's not quite as zippy and dry, if you like, as some of the other ones that we've had from West Coast Brewing. It's a little bit more silky and smooth. But yeah, that's the backbone of the beer, what we've just described there. Bread crust, little bit of wood, little bit of cracker, wee bit of brown bread. But the rest of the malt base is more to do with the kind of white bready character. So let's have a wee look at that. Yeah. Yeah, this is lovely. White bready character in this one then. You've got a fluffy, fresh, white bready character in this beer, and it's nice and airy, and it almost just has a little bit of sweetness to it. But then, yeah, above that, that fluffy white bready character is actually fairly tall by comparison. I think the kind of height of that builds the further into the aftertaste that you go with this beer. But then the density, or the next layer up, you've got a more dense, wheaty, white bready character in this one. And as I've often said, sweeter flavours come out further forward on the palate, more dry and bitter flavours come out further back. You can feel with the wheaty side of this beer, there's a little bit more bitiness further back on that middle third of your palate. If you go down the middle line of your tongue, you get that lovely kind of creamy oaty character coming out of the beer, and as you move out just toward the edge of the of the palate there in the middle third of your palate, you just get that little bit of kind of dryness out of the oats. And in the dead centre of your tongue, you can feel that circle there where you've got quite a wee bit of like Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotch coming out of the beer. And yeah, there's a wee bit of kind of McVitie's digestive biscuit to it as well. So yeah, the way that everything kind of pieces together in this one, I think, is really nice. The malt base is spot on with this one, and quite silky as well. Let's go to the back third of your palate then. So yeah, the border region between middle and back third of your palate, you get that nice little bit of bready build up in there, the brown bread in the base, the white bread in the middle, then the more dense, wheaty white bready character on top, and then yeah, the base of that back third of your palate is really nice in this one. So yeah, fresh, fluffy, white bready character in there. The base is there, it's just a wee bit drier, but the layers, yeah, between middle and back third of your palate, you get similar flavours, just at different intensities. So yeah, the bread crust is there, but a little bit drier. The crackers there. The brown bready layer feels a little bit lighter, taller, more airy and drier. The white bready layer above that is a little bit lighter, taller, airy and drier as well. Then the more dense, wheaty white bready layer is above that too, and that's just got a little bit more bite to it. Then you have the yeasty character of the beer coming out. So let's have a wee look at that yeasty side of things. So yeah, that is good. We're just getting this one in. I say it's about 8 weeks old, or 7 or 8 weeks old at the time of drinking, but it's in really damn good condition. It's, yeah, that's it. With New England IPAs, they've got a prime, and this one I think is right in its prime. Although it would be interesting to try like a fresh one and see what that's like by comparison. But yeah, we can't turn back time. But yeah, the yeasty side of this beer, at its core, it's got a little bit of a grainy brown bread to it. Then it's surrounded by a more dense brown bread, and then a fresher, fluffier, sweeter white bread, and maybe just a little bit of smattering of bread crust in there. And the dryness of the kind of dryness of the bread crust in this one just kind of comes from the yeast, lingers there into the aftertaste. And I will say, on that border region between middle and back third of your palate, you get the nice kind of Skittlesy type flavours pushing their way out of it as well. So yeah, the way that all of that kind of pieces together in this one, I think, is really, really nice. And as I say, that gets a big thumbs up from me. So yeah, back third of your palate, you can feel the flavour is taller. Then as you move further forward into the middle third of your tongue, it just kind of compresses down and squashes together that little bit more. So yeah, the way that all of this goes together, I think, is absolutely lovely. So yeah, it's good stuff. It really is. In terms of the malty and yeasty side of things, I think we've said everything we need to. Let's look at the hoppy side of this beer then. So back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, you get a little touch of kind of pine resin underneath that, which is quite interesting. The earthiness will be coming from the mosaic, but as you reach the front corners of your palate, you get some floral aromaticity, and round the front curve of your tongue, the beer is lighter and more grassy. But that green component on the side of your tongue is very oily and very smooth. But yeah, let's have a look at the let's have a little look at the hoppy. Let's have a little look at the fruity component in this one from the hops. So yeah, the border region between front third and middle third of your palate, you get that nice little bit of bready build up in there. The brown bread in the base, the white bread in the middle, then the wheaty character on top, and then yeah, the base of the front third of your palate is the same. Bread crust, brown bread, bread crust, cracker, brown bread, white bread. The wheat comes forward and the smoother side of the oats. Then you get that nice oily bubble where the fruity, juicy esters roll their way out of the beer. So let's have a wee look at those. Oh yeah. Now, fruity side of this beer is absolutely lovely. Again, if you know these hops, you're getting what you'd expect. The El Dorado just adds a nice wee bit of juiciness, I think, to the Citra, because you could have just done like they could have just done Citra, Mosaic, and Nelson Sauvignon, the classic mix. But yeah, for me, on that back half of the front 30 pack, you get that lovely big juicy mango, and it's got a real ripeness to it. But then yeah, as you move further forward toward the middle of that front 30 palate, you get the kind of softer apricot notes underneath. They come out more into the aftertaste, and the juicy pineapple is there as well. Maybe there's a wee bit of papaya to that too, but lovely kind of complexity to the tropical side of the beer. But then yeah, as you move into the front half of the front third of your tongue, the Nelson Sauvignon, that oily white green grapey gooseberry note is definitely underneath. Then the juicier tangerine orangey character just sits on top of that. So yeah, that kind of lingers there into the aftertaste, and you do get that little bit of citrusy zestiness out of it. But the fruity character is really nicely balanced. And as I say, this is potentially my favourite West Coast Brewing beer that I've had so far from them in terms of the hazy IPAs. So yeah, I don't say that lightly either, because this is a style that these guys are really damn good at, but I'm very impressed with this one, I will say that. So yeah, very good stuff. Quadruple dry hopped as well, which is kind of crazy. So that's maybe what's kind of smoothing it all out with all the cryo oil and things, but it drinks beautifully. Dangerously drinkable. So I think on that note, we can round off the review with a wee look at the mouthfeel. So for me, this beer, I'd say that we're looking at bottom end of full bodied for this one. The carbonation is very smooth. It's got that lovely sort of silky mouthfeel to it. I don't know if I'd quite describe it as creamy, but yeah, it's got a lovely sort of silkiness to the mouthfeel, as you very often get with Japanese beers. No matter what style and what ABV and things they are, it's got that cleanliness, that drinkability to it. You know, Japanese people, they view beer, they say it has to be drinkable. And that you notice that with just that kind of slightly clean character that you get from the mouthfeel of any Japanese beer. So that is noticeable here as well. They're right on the edge of Mount Fuji too. Very good water quality. But yeah, the malty side of this beer, a bit drier underneath, smoother in the middle, sweeter on top. Wee bit of creaminess there. As I said, there's a little touch of dryness from the yeasty side of it as well. But yeah, the hoppy side of this one, ooh, I'd be tempted to say this is 30 IBUs, maybe 40, because it's, you know, you do get a wee bit of lingering bitterness there, but it doesn't feel overly bitter. But yeah, I would say 30 or 40 IBUs in this one. And the fruity side of this beer is lovely and oily. A nice balance between the juicier tropical notes and the more zesty orangey kind of character as well from the Mosaic. And then the Nelson Sauvignon gives you that wee bit of oiliness too. But all the cryo oil is, of course, affecting that as well. But all in all, a beautiful beer, this one, and potentially my favourite New England hazy that I've had from West Coast Brewing. And we must have reviewed about 30 beers or so from this brewery on the channel already, so that is not something I say lightly. Massive thumbs up to West Coast Brewing for this one. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that. This was the Lupulin Rainbow, one of the 6th anniversary beers from the wonderful West Coast Brewing in Mochimune, Shizuoka over in Japan, a 10% New England hazy Imperial Triple Quadruple Dry Hopped IPA. Beautiful stuff, and I highly recommend that you check this one out should you get the chance. But yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are. from West Coast Brewing as well, and we will definitely return to these guys again at some point in the near future. I've got another 3 cans to have a look at from these guys, which you'll see appearing very shortly. But yeah, if you haven't tried some of their beers, I highly recommend that you do. But in the meantime, check out my social media, check out their social media, do check out my friend Neva over at Japanese Craft Beer Reviews, and also Jordan at Outsider Inside Japan. I think he just calls his channel Jordan Japan. Go and give them some love. You'll find the links to their channels in the video description below. Till the next time, Slange, Skål, cheers, check out West Coast Brewing, and I'll see you guys later. This one was ridiculously good. Cheers.